A hidden government fee can add up to $200,000 to the price of a new home in Canada before the builder makes a dollar. Not land, not labor, not materials, a government fee. They're called development charges, and most buyers have no idea they even exist. After 22 years of selling real estate in Waterloo region, this is one of the biggest hidden costs we see affecting buyers, especially people trying to purchase new construction. When a new home gets built, a city needs infrastructure to support it. Things like roads, waters and sewer systems, parks, transit, sometimes schools. All of that costs money. So municipalities charge builders a fee called a development charge to help pay for that. The problem isn't that infrastructure costs money. Of course it does. The real question is who ends up paying for it. Well, a recent report from the C.D. Howe Institute found that development charges in some Canadian cities can add tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases up to $200,000 to the cost of building a new home. Think about that. $200,000. That's not part of the construction cost. It's not part of the labor costs. That's a policy cost that gets built directly into the price of the home before construction even begins. So who is actually paying? Well, here's the part most people don't realize. When infrastructure gets built into an existing neighborhood, for example, transit, the cost is spread across the entire city through taxes. Everyone contributes just a little bit. But when infrastructure supports a new subdivision, the cost is largely placed on the people buying those new homes. So, if you're buying a resale home, not your problem. If you've lived in your home for years, not your problem. But if you're a first-time buyer purchasing a new build, you're often paying the full cost of infrastructure for that entire community up front. That's not a user pay system. That's a new buyer pay system. And here's where this becomes counterproductive. Canada is in a housing shortage. We need to build more homes. But when governments add huge upfront fees to new construction, it makes many projects like this financially difficult to build. Developers delay projects. Some projects never move forward. And when fewer homes get built, supply drops, which pushes prices higher even more. Groups like the Canadian Home Builders Association and researchers at C.D. Howe Institute have suggested a different approach. Instead of charging massive upfront fees to new buyers, infrastructure costs could be spread out over time, the same way cities fund many long-term investments. In other words, sharing the cost across the broader tax base instead of placing most of it on new home buyers. Well, development charges aren't the only reason housing is expensive in Canada, but they are one of the most direct and one of the most fixable. So if you've ever wondered why a new home costs what it does, now you know part of the answer. A significant portion of that price isn't just the market, it's policy. And if you have questions about the Waterloo real estate market, new construction, or buying in today's environment, feel free to reach out. I'm Nick Poulimenos with Corcoran Realty.